Hello. I love these interviews because I'm talking to not one but two people. So I have Talia Wynzel and Teig Sadhana, who have been in not one, not two, but three shows together. So we have lots and lots to talk about. So first of all, I'm going to ask them both to give a short introduction to themselves, what their background is and how they came to be in verticals. So I'm going to ask the lady to go first, Talia.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, hello everyone. I'm Talia Wynzel. Jen, thank you so much for having me. This is really an honor. You are such a special person in the space for us actors and all the creators. I know we all share your posts around, and we love what you're doing. So thank you. Okay, so I have a BFA in acting from a university in New Jersey, where I'm from. I got my BFA in acting in 2022, and then I think I mentioned on the Meet the Creatives, I had gone back and forth with doing acting and doing corporate things and kind of exploring what I really wanted to do. It's really hard to continue to stay passionate about this work because sometimes you flatline and it doesn't work out, and it's hard to stay motivated a lot of the time. And I succumbed to that for a little bit. But then I got back into it. And this past September, so around 8-9 months ago, I was on Backstage, one of the acting casting platforms. I saw this listing for something called like a divorced billionaire, blah, blah, blah. And actually that previous week, I was on TikTok and I had gotten this one ad for this really weird like werewolf thing. This girl was like alpha whatever, and I was like, I'm intrigued. I was like, this is really strange. I'd never gotten anything like it before. I'd never seen anything like it before, but I was like, this is really weird. And my first thought as an actor, I was like, how are they doing this? Like, who's signing up for this? How much do they get paid? Yada yada yada. That was the only thought that I had. And then I saw this vertical listing and I was like, is that what I just saw like on my TikTok just not too long ago? I called my mom and I showed her the listing and I was like, is this real? Am I gonna get like kidnapped? There was really no information. Honestly, it was such a sketchy listing. I'm sure Teig, you'll have this story too. It was so sketchy, hardly any information. And not to make this sound anyway, but a lot of the sides had like Chinese on them. And I was like, what is this? But I was like, you know what? I'm really trying to get back into it. I'm trying to just do whatever I can. You know, an actor, you take anything, honestly, if you really want to be an actor. So I auditioned for it, and the sides were really hard to follow. My mom and I were struggling so hard with, you know, the character and how I'm supposed to read these lines and what they want. I had no idea what was going on, but I ended up booking it. And my first vertical was with Noah Fernley and Mariah Moss. It was with Paige as well, my very first one. Nick Ritacco. Literally all these people that I had no idea were apparently like these big vertical stars. And I got the call sheet before I went and I stalked them on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God, this Noah guy has so many followers. Like, who is this Mariah? Oh my God, she's beautiful. Who are these people? Like, are they famous? Like, what? I was so overwhelmed. And honestly, from there, I just kept doing them. I was a villain, obviously, on the first one that I did, and I thought it was ridiculous the entire time. I was like, what? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But Mariah, as she has done for many people, explained to me pretty much what was going on, and also Paige. And then I was kind of just thrust into the vertical world, and I've been doing them since September. And right now I'm doing them full time, which is like kind of crazy to think that that's what I'm doing with my life. But I'm having so much fun, and I'm making money and acting for a living, and I live in New York. I'm like, it's honestly a dream come true to do these little silly shows. But yeah, so that's a little, honestly, I kind of blabbed on, but that's me.
No, that was absolutely perfect.
No,
and I love that you found them. A lot of us find them as well as fans. It will be something on TikTok where you're like, what on earth is that? And then
no, literally,
curiosity gets better for you and you follow it through.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
you just got a career out of it.
Exactly.
In fact, both of you got a career out of it. Well done.
I've only done one werewolf one though, honestly. So I haven't gotten
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
I know.
No comment.
Okay, T, can you do your story?
Yeah, I'm an Aussie English actor. I studied here in New York at Stella Adler, and I came initially in 2018, just before the world hit pause for a second. And I left because of COVID, and I went to where my family are in Australia, and I walked dogs for like 2 years. I was paid by rich people in my city to walk their dogs for them during the day and pick up their poo, which was honestly one of the best jobs to have during COVID because everyone else was locked in, so I could just go on adventures. And a really good grounding experience because I just had my first year at Stella Adler and kind of needed some grounding. And then as things sort of started opening up, I came back to New York and finished my time at Stella Adler. And then just out of graduation, I was kind of, like Talia was saying, looking for honestly anything. And saw a random ad on Backstage for a job called Glory of Revenge. And the pay was something that like I didn't associate with at that point. Like it was something so out of reach for me at that time. So I like applied for it thinking they're probably going to want someone with loads of followers and things like that. And I had a quick call with the director, and I think they had someone drop out of the role, and so desperately needed someone quickly, which worked greatly in my favor. And I think 2 or 3 days later, a car pulled up, and some crew members and Mariah Moss was in the car, and we drove to Pennsylvania into the middle of Amish country, which was amazing, and these mansions. And I think it was an 8-day shoot. For 8 days, we sort of shacked up in these mansions and filmed this crazy, almost sort of mafia-esque drama. And that was my first exploration of verticals. So it was Mariah was on that one and Connor was on that one, and they both really like wonderfully introduced me to the medium. And I had a great time. And it kind of felt like summer camp or something. Everyone sort of in these mansions filming every day, and it was crazy, and you're on top of each other, and you're tired because you're shooting long days, and then you're shooting OT on top of the sort of regular 12-hour expected days. But I loved it, and I came away from that experience really enthusiastic about what I had found. I've always sort of had an interest in, like my friends at drama school used to always talk to me about this, because I would always talk about how we've got in our generation such amazing possibilities with the different screens that exist. Back in the day, you've got like one picture house in a town if you're lucky enough to live in a town that's big enough. Now we've got a picture house in our pocket. And I've always kind of thought like, okay, cool, we should start being a fundamental part of exploring what we can do with our art form with these new sort of platforms for it. And this just ticked all those boxes for me. So then I was fascinated by it, and things went quiet for a little while after that, and I was kind of like doing other jobs and making my life work here in New York. And then slowly, that film never even released yet. I think it's been optioned and it will come out soon enough. But slowly, word got out. I think Mariah helped me there as well. Like Talia said, she's done to almost everyone in the scene. And slowly word got out, and casting directors got in contact with me, and I landed on sets and met Talia, and I made 3 films in a quick burst. And that was After the Awakening, that was Come Back For You, and that was Hurt Me, Love Me. And they were, that little 2 or 3 month stretch was a bit of a baptism of fire, to be honest. All 3 of those roles, if you go back and look at them, are quite different and demand very different things. But I really needed it. To sort of get out of drama school and come to the vertical film shoot, to sort of be able to show up on these sets and be what you need to be in a vertical. I think they were the perfect introduction. And ever since then, the phone keeps ringing, which is kind of a blessing.
We were both doing 3 in a row, I think, at the same time.
Yeah.
I did 3 in a row at the same exact time that you did. We were both like,
yeah. What is happening? Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's so great, because I love it when people do this. You just set me up for the next question I want to ask, which is the first project you worked on together, which is After Awakening, Siblings Strike Back. So, I just think Teig's character, Elliot, has the worst day ever. You wait for a 5-year coma, and then you basically get assaulted in the hospital room. All he wants to do is get married to your true love. And it's just like the wedding from hell. There's this beautiful moment where, before all the chaos happens, where you're just arranging flowers in this lovely room. It's beautiful, like boho wedding. That's all you want to do. And then everyone turns up, including Amy, Talia, who is one of your top tier villain roles. You do have an amazing red dress, and I do think that's one of the things that villainesses need. You need a good look. And you're not having it. And I think that's the role where you get to throw money, isn't it, in people's face?
I threw money, I threw a cake, maybe some, what is that?
These are literally the bills from the movie.
No way. That's
You can't see them. Can you move your camera?
Oh, you cannot see it? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
No, I can't see. Oh! Love that. That.
Well,
I got to throw Money, cake, probably something else. I honestly don't know. But yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I'm getting like, I'm like getting flashbacks of the Brooklyn warehouse. We were
Yeah,
in
the
that warehouse
spaghetti.
for
Do you remember the
6
spaghetti?
days. Ew, yes. You know that, Jen, the spaghetti that my mother is like, ugh, you can't even get better food. That prop was real spaghetti, which stayed out for the entire time we were in the.
It was like 5 days or 4 days. It was sitting there.
I kept looking because it was on my side. There were like two sides because the two, like the good people on one side, the bad people, like literally physically and also like in the story. But it was on my side, so like every day I'd kind of look and I'd be like, "Is that really spaghetti?"
Did it grow? Did we get a change of colour or scent?
Scent, no.
No.
Color
did.
with nature, yeah.
I'm kind of concerned actually with like how normal it looked after all that time.
It's true. It said something about the preservatives in the pasta sauce.
Yeah,
You're
no,
right.
the cake, people ate that cake. I think there were two, and I think people did end up like eating it. I don't know because I was like on set. I think like the extras were eating it in the green room.
Backstory in it that it's you've met at a restaurant and he's providing the food for free, and then to be honest, it is in that horrible like polystyrene looking thing. And it doesn't look great, and I'm like, I'm kind of with a mum on this, even though it's a lovely story.
It's not great catering, but hey, Mark's character did great. I can't remember the character. Uncle Rob, no. Played by Mark. Mark, I can't remember his last name either, but he was lovely. He was lovely, and he was so much fun to play
Uncle
with.
Rob. Yeah.
Uncle Rob, yeah.
Did you get the cake in first? Was that like one take for the cake?
I think we always kind of like mime it first and mark it and since sometimes the shots are so tight, since it's vertical, sometimes it'll literally just be like coverage of my face, and I'll be saying my lines or expressing on my face what I'm doing, but I won't actually be doing it. But I think there were two cakes, and it wasn't that hard to do. I think I did smash it once, and then they were like, do it again with the same cake, so it kind of looked like fucked up a little, but they weren't shooting the actual cake from the front, so the fall still like made sense. But it was a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, what if I do mess this up? But then they told me that there was another cake, so I was like, okay. And it wasn't like any difficult choreography. I just literally had to smash it on the ground.
And how many days did you spend on that shoot in that warehouse? Because that is where the majority of the action takes
I think
place.
6.
Yeah, look, we could go back and look at the call sheets and find out, but I think it was around 5 or 6. Yeah,
I think
it was crazy. Long days.
Standing in the same spot.
Was it cold? Because it looked cold.
I was in a button-up shirt and jeans. The girls in silk dresses have a very different experience on these sets, man.
I think towards the end of the day, it got cold. Like when the sun went down, it got cold. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I do remember because I have a picture of me wearing my sweatshirt. Yeah, I think it was a little cold at the end of the day. The girls are always suffering with the weather.
Yeah.
Because I spoke to Brad Hamill and he said he was glad he had a coat on. So
Yeah, he had that big trench coat. That was a vibe. I liked that.
he said,
He really completed his villain thing with that coat. I loved it.
Okay, so kind of then the next one I want to talk about that you were in together is Come Back For You, and for both of you, I feel it's like a really nice step up each role. So you get a lot more to do in this one as Karen, Talia.
Yes,
and I think is more of an interesting role because she's not an out and out villain.
Right.
Although when we see her at the beginning, she's quite bad. Then we go back and she's not become that person yet.
Right.
So I would say she could go either way. And then Teig also, I think, you've got a proper hero role in that one who has a bit more agency, I would say, than Elliot, and gets to just play with it a bit more. What do I want to ask? Basically, have you got any stories you want to share about that?
Ooh, well, same director as After Awakening. Jackie, we love him.
Yeah, we love Jackie.
You go first, Teig. I'm trying to remember.
It was a bit of a reunion for us because we were working with Zane as well. And Paige was also in the end of After Awakening. So we had quite a cool little crew with us, which was lots of fun. I remember feeling like initially I wasn't on set very much with you guys for that one. And I remember I had to sort of catch up because you guys did all the school shoots at the beginning. And so I wasn't there, obviously, because Johnny Wonder doesn't go to school, apparently. But I remember coming back, and then I mean, I remember things like there was one scene. If there's a scene in the car park that I wasn't in, but I arrived late to, and one of the camera operators had found the keys to a cherry picker that was just sitting in the car park of this strip mall in New Jersey, and he just helped himself to turn on the ignition and raise the cherry picker up and film this cool bird's eye shot. And it's cool, and no one got hurt, but it flagged security, and security then came over and sort of occupied the set with us for a little while. But I guess that was also deep Jersey enough that they were really stoked that we were there. I remember having a
Yeah.
chat to the security guard, and he was kind of like happy there was something going on in this little parking lot. That was a fun
There
day.
was a lot of bonding. There was a lot of bonding moments in that. I remember that particular bunch of scenes that we did in the parking lot.
Mhm.
We were all kind of holding in each other's cars because it was freezing outside, and there wasn't enough room in this truck that they kind of allocated as a holding area. So we were all just hanging out in each other's cars. I was in John's Higgins' car. It
John
was
Higgins
great.
again. Yeah.
He was on that one too. He was also in After Awakening. Yeah, so it was really
Yeah.
it was a big reunion. And me and Zane loved we felt like it was an extension of our After Awakening characters. We had a lot of fun doing Karen and Ricky and kind of just exploring how much we can push it without like going crazy, because he was kind of coked out in After Awakening, that, and people have recognized that, which I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, you have. And that, I remember that was a note that was given on the very first, I don't think you were on that call, Teig, the Zoom call, like table read. But
No, I
when we were
wasn't
doing
there.
when we were doing that scene in Come Back for You, where we were in the hotel room and we were telling, oh my God, what is Paige's,
Shannon.
what is her name?
Shannon.
Shannon. God, that's really bad. We were telling Shannon what we did to her. We were kind of channeling a little bit of our After Awakening characters. He was a little coked out, not as much. But it was really fun working with Zane again.
That was a direction from Jackie, right? Yeah, he gave him that note. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was fun. That scene was fun to do. Also, when Paige had to spit the gross blood out, I felt so bad for her. It was really gross. And I felt bad because she was like suffering in that bed and I was being so mean to her, and I was like, wow, I feel really bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was
it's a
really
really
gross.
horrific opening. It's quite like...
Yeah,
It's not fun. It's not fun.
I told Paige, I've spoken to Paige, I really think she'd do a really good Dickensian heroine. You know,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
yeah.
Down in
So
the
I
dram
have to
shop.
ask about the tennis match, because actually when that came out, it was
Oh my God,
it started the run of all the sports verts, and there have been a few tennis ones, and I would argue that even though that is not a sports vert, that's a better tennis match than in quite a lot of the sports verts.
Thanks, Jen. I really appreciate that. My coach, my tennis coach from when I was 12, when I did a couple of weeks of tennis classes, would be really proud of me. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
it looks legit. Honestly, when I watched it, I was like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
You actually play some shots, which is more than what happens in most of the other verts. So just congratulations.
I really honestly, Jen, I tried. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, that was lots of fun. And it was weird trying to figure out how to hit the ball without taking out a cameraman. Or a sound guy, or one of the extras. There are some of those shots that look clean that I know are honking. They've gone way over. They're gone. But they look clean, and that's the movie magic, I guess. But I'm glad it worked.
I had a whole bunch of cheering and hoo-haing, and I made up a chant for Ricky Drax, and they cut it. And I was like, what? I thought that was so cute. Yeah, they like hardly really show me doing anything, but I was like, Ricky Drax. I was like, R-I-C-K. I made up a whole chant. I don't remember it now, but I was like, I made up this whole thing, and they didn't end up using it.
Okay, they should have used that. That would have been awesome. Because I have a theory that Teig, your character is called Johnny Wonder, just so that they can have someone holding a sign saying "The Boy Wonder."
Yeah, honestly, that's probably where it came from. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just a little insider info on that day. This is a really small detail, and you'll probably be like, why are you telling this? But production opened up a tab at the coffee shop right down the street from the tennis match, and
This is true, yeah.
I went there like 3 times, and I got like 3 different things. Thank you, Journey. But I thought that was
out
fun.
of that came the chant we never heard, unfortunately. Caffeine inspired.
No, that was fun about that
And that's good for the coffee shop as well. I mean, they need your business.
I know.
They were
And
lovely in
also,
there. I really liked them.
we were in a public park, so there were people watching us and filming us, and I was like, shouldn't there be someone a little more on top of the people filmed? But I was like, whatever. We're actors.
Yeah.
There's a camera. It's going to bring a lot of people. It comes with the territory.
So that they once, and then now we have you've got a hit on your hands because you are both right. I'm going to say the title once, and then we're just going to call it something else, which is My Boss Is My Secret Sperm Donor, or
Secret
Boss
donor.
as you're going to call it, which is really nice for both of you because first of all, Talia, you play Leia, and you're the heroine. Now, which is just, you've so deserved this. I just
absolutely.
It's one of my quests to kind of, you bring it as a villainess, but I love it when you get a chance to show that yes, I can do more range than just being mean. So
thank you.
Well done. And then Teig as well. I'd say it's kind of quite a different role for you as a lead. You say feels like quite a different character to some of the other ones you've done.
Yeah, this project, to be honest, crazy title aside, and Talia and I have spoken about this before, I think for me, there was just more to sink my teeth into. I think it was really, even just from the script itself, the first time I read it, I was like, oh, this is going to play like a rom-com. And that's something that I think is exciting for the vertical space, to have like a bit of a tighter story structure, a bit more of an arc that makes sense and that can work, and that doesn't, it's defined by the cuts and by the episodes, but it's not so overruled by them in the same way. So it's cleverly written, so the cliffhangers are written in a bit differently than having these crazy swings in story arc. So as an actor, you could look at a character, and I could look at Alec and I could see what I was going to do with it, and trust the writing in a way that sometimes you don't get a chance to with verticals, just given the process with how they're created. And then the truncated shoot time, which is just so hard to do in-depth acting work with. So good writing helps a lot, and we definitely had that. And then I think we also had a really good creative team around us. Steadfast Productions, Ben Poster, Shel Stevens, unbelievable team. Like really had a grasp on how to make movies already, how to make a film. So just, I think what they were struggling with was how to do it in 10 days. And they figured that out. It was awesome to watch. I remember having lots of conversations with Ben on set, and I love that production company and hope and look forward to working with them in the future. And I think all of that contributed to, I think, being able to get the best out of two actors with the material.
So obviously the title is what it is, and the kind of the meet cute is insane because this is Vert World. But actually, given by Vert World standards, it's kind of not the worst because there's a lot where this situation happens. It just seems to be a common thing that every CEO has decided he needs to donate somewhere. And we have a lot of situations in hospitals where,
listen, billionaire status is hereditary,
doctors
right?
aren't fired where they've mixed up samples, or like someone was just in for an OBY and now you're pregnant. So I mean, it's not the worst. It's just Jerry gets over enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And Jerry was played by an actor called Joss, who was also lovely, tremendous to work with. Loved what he brought to the team. He had just come out of drama school as well in the last year or so, and was chomping at the bit to work. Came with ideas and was fun, and you can see it in the scenes.
So sweet.
But it's meddling assistant, crazy.
Such a joy to work with. Yeah.
Because he has an amazing moment where he says, I think to Leia, like, if you want to thank me, buy a coffee, which I'm totally going to clip and use for myself. I'm like,
those are one of the first few scenes that we did. So we were all kind of finding our groove with each other. But when I watched it, I was like, the delivery was amazing. His delivery was, I was like, the timing of it was so good. And just the way he was like, just buy me coffee. And I was like, no, the delivery translated so well. Yeah. And also our scene where he's being apologetic when Alec is sick, he was tearing up and really so present. And I think that scene is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite scenes, honestly. I have it written down, and when I make my reel, I have it written down and marked in a scene that I want to use to screen record and use, because I felt really dropped in the moment as an actor. And then I was really pleased to see how well it translated on.
Oh, that's awesome.
On the phone, just the screen, the phone, because in that moment I was like, it was the environment was that it was we were stressed out that day filming. I think that was towards the end of the day. I had a costume change, and I think it was just, there was a lot of tension. It was just one of those days. It happens a lot on these sets. And I was kind of struggling to kind of get, what is the scene? What's going on here? How am I going to connect with my scene partner? And then how is the character going to connect with this character? Then the second that he started delivering his lines and really just like looking at me and feeding me his true intention of what he was saying, I was like, wow, he's a really good actor, and I feel really dropped in right now. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that works in this so well, that although there's this mad setup, first of all, the fact that when Alec finds out, like, he's properly horrified.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Which I think really
I knew
worked.
that was a moment when that scene came up. I was honestly, when I knew of the premise, I was praying that there was a scene where I could at least show panic, a moment of like, oh no, because at least then we could hang the rest of it off a moment like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's brilliant. And then, as you said, that when he does realise, and obviously it's come from good intentions, but yeah, again, that scene is phenomenal, where he is pretty much in tears of like, yeah, I totally got this wrong. And I also think your character Leia's given some really good lines as well, where it's like, but that's not your decision to make. And I think it's really important that that's said as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that.
And then,
okay, so now I have to ask about Rocco, because I'm told that Rocco is a bigger star than anyone else on that set.
Listen, he's got more credits on Broadway than all of us on that set. So he was taken incredibly well care of. I can't remember his owner's name, but he was lovely as well.
I believe it was Bill. I think it was Bill.
Bill, yeah. Bill was awesome. And Bill was classic. Like, you could tell he'd been on a million sets. You could tell nothing was special to him. But he was so kind and sweet and definitely on everyone about how to treat Rocco on set. His name in the film is Cookie, right? Yeah, Cookie. So how to treat Cookie on set. And it was, honestly, he was very, very cute. There's scenes in the car. He was happy, chirpy little dog.
And he was safe all the entire time. He was safe in that scene that I know brings up a lot of bad feelings for people, as of course it should, because it's animal abuse and that's horrible. He was never in the cage when the bat was actually made contact with the cage. He wasn't even in the room for that. So he was completely taken care of the entire time.
There's an Easter egg in that scene. One of the cuts where it cuts to, I forgot the actor that plays the new girlfriend, but it cuts to her. And if you're, say again?
Emery.
If you spy it, there's a scene where you can see the little plush replacement doll that she's holding just edge the frame. So there's a little Easter egg if people want to see. But no, Talia is right. It's absolutely right to be worried and concerned and on top of animal abuse and abuse in any form being sort of glorified or exploited and used in storytelling when it's not necessary. And it didn't really need to happen in the plot. It tried to further some sinister energy with this character, Emery's character, but it was unnecessary ultimately. And absolutely, suffice to say, the dog was absolutely fine.
I am glad though that there was that verbal acknowledgement on Alec's part of you're going to be arrested for animal abuse. So I'm glad that there was that there, so it wasn't just like, oh, it was brushed over. Okay. They did that, whatever. So I'm glad that was there.
And you realise that's one of the things of like why you want more credits and things on the end of verts. Because I was like, well, if you were watching a real movie, you would have the, no animal was harmed in this production. So it's kind of, you almost just want that certificate on it, and then that puts people's minds at rest.
I totally agree. This is a great thing. I saw this on one of the verts I was looking at recently, where the last episode was just credits. It's genius. It's genius. I think like a lot of these crew members don't see any praise out of the immense work they put in, and that is something that's so easy to change, and people in the audiences are looking to see who's working on what. It's a part of the industry that will flower and will develop because it needs to, and there's demand for it. So it's just a matter of time until we get that. But credits as the last episode, unbelievable idea.
I like that.
So I have to say thank you, because you've sort of addressed, I know, a few concerns that a few people have had about Cookie, but I also want to say, like, you're always told, aren't you, don't work with animals or children, and obviously you work with both in this. How easy was it with Cookie? Because obviously there's quite a lot of scenes, particularly with you, Talia, as Leia, where you're holding him and carrying him and walking around. Some cookie on
Well,
prepared
I have
for
a
a new
secret.
scene?
I have a secret to share, and I hope that no one gives me hate for this. But I'm not a dog person. I'm not a cat person. I have found myself wanting to have a dog. Like, yeah, sure, for companionship. And do I find dogs cute? Yes. When other people have dogs, I think they're cute. Yes. And if someone who I was with wanted to have a dog, yeah. But is it my, like, do I have that connection to dogs that a lot of people have? I don't. So it was a little scary for me, I'm not gonna lie. But because Bill was so great, because the dog itself, Rocco, was so
Yeah.
tame and had good energy, it was fine. I was like, oh my god, I'm holding a dog, I'm holding a dog, I'm holding a dog. Everything's fine. Like, I wasn't scared of the dog. I'm scared of, like, bigger dogs. But it was great. The scenes were lovely. I was not scared at all. It was uncomfortable a little bit at times when Rocco started to get a little bit fussy after just, like, being in my arms just for so long, and I'm moving around, I'm saying things, and there's all this stuff happening. But other than that, it was honestly a lovely experience, and I would work with a dog again. I would.
We've got that on tape now.
Yeah,
Okay,
look,
I
we
want
did
to
it,
move on to
guys.
some of there's certain scenes that I think people are going to want to know about. So, I mean, you can both now tick it off your Vert CV. You've both done a swimming pool scene now,
Yep.
which is
Yeah,
excellent.
that was an adventure.
Was the
We
pool
did it twice.
Twice.
We did it twice.
Okay.
2 days.
Can you share the story, please?
Yeah. We went that first day. What the call was like 5 in the morning or something, right? The call was
Yeah.
crazy, but it
We
was
had a hard
like
out at that place at like 10.
yeah, it was early. Yeah, 10. It was like a fancy apartment building with a full gym like and swimming pool complex in the apartment building somewhere in like what Midtown.
I think so.
We showed up. We set up. We had a really great stuntman, Ben. Do you know his last name?
I
Yeah, I
don't.
can't remember Ben, but he was amazing. Take it from
He
us,
was
he was
great.
amazing. And he walked us through the whole sequence. Initially, Talia's character Leah would fall in the pool. If you watch carefully, I actually push her in the pool,
That's what
which
I
is
was
kind of
going to say.
Alex's
I think
fault.
you push her. I rewatched several
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
I
but
thought
there's
you
a man
threw
with a
her
bottle,
away.
Jen. What am I to do?
Okay, I don't think it wasn't really supposed to translate that way. I think honestly, this is what I will say right now. I told you, Teague, I was like, can you give me like a little bit of like a push so that I actually make it into the pool? But
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
that was just like a little too much, because the way that I was standing, I was also in heels. I was in like this full getup. It was slippery on the ground. I'd never, I mean, yeah, I've jumped into a pool before, but like not like that. Where I can
Fully
see,
clothed,
like
yeah, yeah.
I was facing away from the pool, so I wasn't looking in that direction. So I did tell Teague, like, give me a little bit of like a nudge so that I have a momentum to like actually make it in. Because then I was like, I'm afraid if I don't hurl myself enough that I'll like hit my head on the edge. So yeah, it might have been a little too much.
And actually,
No, she nailed it, and she landed because we only had one try at that. Unless you want to spend ages blow drying hair, you've got one shot to get someone fully dry to fully wet, right?
Yeah.
And if you look, that was the first shoot that we did, because initially she's in the pool, she makes her way over to the edge, and I pull her out of the pool, and then we've got her on the ground wet, and I'm carrying her off, you know. At that point, if you look in the film, there's a cut, and it cuts to me, and I go like, I'm like Leo or something, right? And then I jump in the pool, and you can do I was instructed to do running man arms, which looks wild, but we'll leave that. But then I jump in. That whole section later was what 2 or 3 weeks after we wrapped the whole film. So we went back. They booked the space. Say again.
I think it was like a week or 2. Yeah.
Right. So they booked the space again. Similar call, similar hard out. We needed to go back in and just plug in this scene where I jump in, and we kind of did it all from there with me. What they called a wet hero was what they were looking for. So, they got a wet running man hero.
Was the pool heated?
It was warm. It was warm,
It wasn't bad.
I was in it for like quite longer than Teague was, because they had to have me like positioned at the right spot, and then they kept making me like thrash all around. So as it was getting a little bit chilly, and then when I was out of it, I was freezing. It was so cold.
Yeah. And there's still snow on the streets here in New York at that point when we were filming
There
this. So
it was cold out. Yeah.
Yeah, which was kind of cool to see if you, I mean, I'm not sure if you can see it properly in the film, but that terrace that pool is on looks out over these really cool intersections where you see these
Yeah, it was pretty
little
good.
plateaus where people have little exercise yards and things. It was a great spot to shoot in.
Yeah.
And I've just realised as well, it makes total sense that you shoved her out the way, Teig, because obviously I feel this is all the fault of Zane/Ricky in the bottle smash, which is nominated for best action scene. You see, I feel there was like a post-traumatic worry about a bottle coming.
Listen, it lives deep in the actor's memory. And I thought pool better than smash. You know, that was the maths that I did. Thank you, Jen. That's putting that in my pocket for later.
Yeah. Okay, the next scene I really want to ask about is, I think, one of the best comic scenes in it, which is the ultimate don't hook your phone up to the presentation board.
Yep.
That scene is so brilliantly done because it's so natural. I always love the extras around the table, and they are brilliant because they nail it with this kind of embarrassed, but it's funny, and they're looking for your reactions. And then, I mean, you both, because I love the way that Teig, you play it, and that Alec is embarrassed. Like, he's not, I think I've seen a lot of people play that and it's a bit more like cold or angry, but it's like he's like mortified. And then obviously you're absolutely brilliant as Leia, of like, you just nail that embarrassment and the head in the hands.
First of all, I would never, as Talia, I would never do that. I would the screen's right behind me. I would never leave my phone like that or plugged in like that. But Leia was just so caught up in the moment. She's wondering if she's she's just so she's not thinking. But that was that was really fun.
That was a fun scene. I agree, Jen. I think Talia carries that scene very heavily and needed to, honestly. The scene required her to do it. There's a cold wash moment that I love, that I think when she notices what's going on and sort of the severity of what her last message was, there's like this very recognizable cold wash human moment that I think carries the scene really well. So I mean, props to Talia.
Yeah, because of what I said also, I'm like, oh, he must be ace. Like, that's such a specific thing to say, and I'm quite literally talking about him in such an intimate way. There's literally a picture of him. He's sitting right there. It was just all too much. It was all too much. And then I was sitting right next to him, and he's like, "We need to talk." So that was the head in the hands moment.
I think Leia tries to leave as well. I think you have this vague hope at the end that you might have forgotten, but then it's like, like a teacher, see me, we need to talk about this.
That was directed as well by a child. She was like, try to sneak out a little bit, and then
great direction.
Try to walk out a little. You got me.
I'm glad you got the teacher vibe. I was definitely channeling my year 5 teacher who was unimpressed with something I'd done. I've got that deep in my memory as well, Jen.
And then I have to say as well, oh God, what was I going to say? I've forgotten now. Completely forgotten. I've blanked. No idea. Anyway, it's very good, that scene. Yes, that's it. My theory about why he's a workaholic. Of course he's a workaholic, because Alec's in love with Leia, so he's just going to be at work all the time. So it's like, obviously.
So true.
Yeah, that's where I see my future wife, right?
Yes. Yeah, so that's very good. So that scene's great. I also want to talk about a scene which I think probably most people won't pick up on, but I really like, because I've come from Korean dramas and Chinese dramas, and there's a scene in a lift which I think most people are like, what's going on here? Yeah. But actually, to me, it's like it's a classic KC drama thing. And I think the problem is you don't have quite enough extras. There needed to be more people in the lift. Because for me, what it is that Alec knows Leia's pregnant. She's in the lift, and there's a thing where basically it looks like he's kind of boxing her in, but it's like a classic thing of he's protecting her from the crowd and the horde, but there's just not quite enough extras. So you don't quite get that's what he's trying to do. Like, were you given direction about that's what he's trying to do for her?
Well,
go on. Yeah.
No, I was going to say before.
No, you say exactly what I'm going to say. Go on.
I was going to say, before we say anything, I just want to say props to the art department, because that was a fake elevator that was literally built day of. That was not the same elevator that we walked into, and that we were using an actual apartment complex that had an actual elevator, but we didn't walk into it. It was literally built with like wooden panels. So amazing. So
Yeah.
is that what you were gonna say?
That was literally what I was going to say. Props to
Yeah.
again Steadfast and their
Yeah.
props team. They were amazing.
Yes.
They set that up
Yeah.
in a couple of hours, I think. Designed
Crazy.
it, built it, put it there. It's physically the exact same spot as the film, the advert shoot with Xavier in the film. Physically in that room, it's the exact same spot. So
Yeah.
between those two scenes being shot, they built a whole elevator
Yeah.
set, which was honestly awesome. But
It
you're
was
right.
sick.
In building it, it was then a little bit hard to fill with people because it doesn't have the
Yeah.
structural integrity of a regular elevator. So you
Okay,
can't have
fair
I
people
do
pushing
think
on
that
the walls too much.
there could have been more people. But I think they put me in the corner and they tried to make it as if he was protecting me. But then I think also the intention of the scene was, I was like, why did you just get into the employee elevator when he rides his own separate elevator? He asked me to ride that elevator with him, and I was like, no, I'm pregnant. I'm fine. I can ride the regular. It's not like I'm glass, made of glass, I think is the line. I'm not gonna fall apart by getting into the employee elevator. So I think one of the moments of that is, I'm like, why did you get into the employee elevator with me? And obviously the intention is to like make sure I'm safe and protect me, because I kind of at that point I'm like, if people know that I came with him, like they're gonna think something's up. And I just slept at his house, and in the scene before, I'm kind of like, he's like trailing behind me, and I'm kind of like trying to get away from him
In a charming way.
in a charming way. But yeah, I was like
Trailing behind me
no one
gives
can know that
concern.
yeah, but I do agree. There probably could have been more people, maybe, to make it translate more in the sense that you're talking about, Jen. I do agree. Yeah.
Sorry, that's being so picky. There should have been more people in the elevator. I mean, that's terrible notes, isn't it?
Be picky.
So another great scene as well is when Leia's sleeping at the office. And there's a really good comedy scene of basically Leia thinking there's someone there, and then Alec going, there's someone there, and the dog. Which is great, because then it means that we do get you out of that sad little basement and into a very nice house. The house is lovely, although you seem convinced that Leia seems convinced Alec's got OCD. He's just tidy.
Because he's
just
super
clean the
clean
floor.
and everything. Yeah. He's really clean and
It was just quite realist.
all clean people have OCD, of course.
I wasn't quite sure how to take that line, and there's one other line in the script regarding OCD. I chose, and maybe I should have spoken to Talia about this before, but I chose to not play into it, and for it to be an opinion of Leah rather than an observation of truth.
Well, I say
because
it
it
again.
seemed more like that was what the intention was.
Yeah. I say it again when Cookie is jumping off the bed. I'm like, Alec has OCD. I don't know.
And then if it is something that people want to read onto Alec, that's also fine. I mean, people with OCD aren't majorly different beings. He could have that, and he's dealing with it in his own way. You mentioned the location just before. The basement scene. There's another good story there, actually. While we were filming that, it was like probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night in this sort of industrial park in New Jersey with lots of different businesses operating out of little micro offices. And the wall that adjoins the wall that she ends up slammed on was a therapist's office. There was a poor woman in session trying to give therapy to someone. And we got a few bangs on the wall for that, and Stern shaking fists. But alas, we got the scene quieter in the next few takes, and then got out of there. And I hope everyone's all right.
That was funny.
So yeah, I guess the relationship really progresses once Leia moves in. You have a very good cooking scene.
Yeah.
So
That seems
I have
really
to
cute.
ask, like, who's the cook out of both of you? What were your signature dishes? Day-to-day cooking?
Ooh. Out of like us as
As
Talia
you
and
as
Teig?
people rather than as the characters, yeah.
Ooh. I make a really good like salmon, potatoes, asparagus type dinner.
Yum.
I also just make like good breakfast, like avocado toast and eggs.
Yeah, I loved
I'm
cooking.
learning.
I was raised by lesbians who forced me to learn how to cook. There's no way I got out of that house not knowing how to feed myself. So I've learned to cook. I think probably one of my favorite dishes. I like making curries. Again, that's kind of, my parents used to make a lot of curries during the week. I like curries with like fish and like bamboo shoots and things like that. It's always fun, like Thai style. Growing up in Australia, you're closer to sort of the Thai Southeast Asian end of curry making, so we had a lot of access to brilliant ingredients. So that's always something I love to make.
Okay, thank you.
Yum.
So you've already mentioned him. I want to talk about Xavier Holland, or Luke Dodge, because I think that's what's really nice with what they do with that character is he doesn't go down the route you think he might.
Right.
He becomes more of a friend to Leia, and a bit of a, I guess, kind of like when Alec's possibly pushing it a bit too far, is a bit like, this isn't on. It's not Alec's fault, but obviously, I'm sorry, but he's got a toxic mother and then the ex from hell who turns up.
Yeah.
So, did you like that the way that was written? Was that a bit of a surprise that the character didn't go where he normally would in a Vert?
Yeah, at first, obviously when he first comes onto the scene, you're like, oh, who's this actor guy that's flirting it up with Leia when they first meet? You know, they have that meet. I loved that meet cute, honestly. Such a cute, reaching for the same croissant. Like, okay, it's cute. And I'm like, oh, he's this actor. But also, like, as Leia, she's like, all right, he's an actor, but he's like, no, but whoa, okay, you're making a lot of money. So she's not feeding into his act. But I think he likes that, and I think he sees her as a challenge, and you're right that he never crosses, I don't think he ever crosses any boundaries. He doesn't really, aside from like making some like dumb jokes and pulling me in to be his co-star in the commercial. I don't think he crosses any boundaries, and he's not, you don't see him as like, ugh, creepy. Like, you don't want, it's almost, you could in some moments want Leia to end up with him. Like, you could want her to, like, he could be a good option for her. He does take her in. He honestly is respectful of my boundaries. When I say I don't want to be anything with him, he respects that. You should get some sleep. I think that's the scene where I'm like, I can't be with you, and he's like, you should get some rest. So I really did like the way he could have gone a different direction. You're right. It could have gone a totally different direction. And I really enjoyed the progression. And I know in the future, the unwritten future of this world, they're definitely friends. He's definitely like a fun uncle of the triplets.
Yeah. The unwritten future of this world. I love that. I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Props to Luke, honestly.
Sweetheart.
You could have taken that role so many different ways, just with tone as well,
Right.
which is a big thing in verticals. And if you find a guy who, like, I think he just really didn't want to be a creepy guy, and so didn't play it that way, and it didn't come off that way nor cut together that way. And again, props to him for choosing a direction and doing it, and it works. It's awesome. It's one of the most satisfying things.
Sorry, there's a child slamming doors. Is everything all right? You all right if I pause for a moment and I'll come back?
Of course.
Sure. This out.
I need water anyway. I'll be back.
Come back in 10 minutes. All right, okay. Sorry, apparently I have to come back in 10 minutes, but yeah, it'll be in a bit. We're fine.
All right. No worries.
Right, I can cut it all out because I'm like a video editor now, so it's all fine.
I love that.
Good.
It's like I'm a pro. It's so good. Right, what do I want to ask you about next?
Excuse me.
So, we've cut all that out. It's perfect. Everyone's had a drink. So obviously we have this lovely thing where Alec and Leia get together, and Teig, you just have the best face of like just the joy of years and years and years and years of pining. And the other thing I really like as well is that initial stage when they're together in the relationship. It's not just like all serious. You actually see them laugh as a couple together. I want to know about the ketchup. Was that one take?
Oh no. My god. Well, that scene, the laughing in that scene is completely authentic. It is 100% me. Literally, art imitates life. I literally did not realize how fast that ketchup would come out of the bottle when I squeezed it, and it got all over me. It got all over the walls. It got in the dishwasher. It got in the sink.
Sorry,
on the floor, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And that line, I think they used it. You're like, "It's all over my shirt." I'm like, "Yeah, mine too."
Mine too. Yeah.
That's literally all authentic and real, and it was gross. It smelled really bad, and everyone was like, "Oh!" The sound it made was like, it was gross. But made
masterful use of props, because I remember you shaking it to sort of get it all loose and everything, and then it just exploded. It was so good.
I did not shake it. I think Chell came over and shook it for me. Someone shook it. I did not shake it, but it worked. But yeah, no, I think we did that maybe another time after that, because at that point your shirt, did you have to do another shirt? I think you had to get another shirt.
I think there were 2 shirts. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think we might have done
2,
it just
maybe
like,
even 3. Yeah.
But then also we went back to the scene where I walk into it and I see him cooking, and I think you can kind of see there's ketchup on my shirt because I think they used a take that we did after that first try of the ketchup, and we tried to move, like, put my hair in front of it to like hide the ketchup, but I could see it. But, yeah.
And there's
I
another
didn't even notice that. Yeah. Okay.
There's another really good bit as well where you're kind of having a moment in the bedroom, and then Leia's like, oh, I need to feed the dog, and you get a brilliant line about it's a bad dog.
I don't know if that was even in the script. Again, that was one of those moments where we were just playing. Was it? Was the bad dog in the script?
I think it was in the script. Okay. But I think also, like, we were just laughing, like...
Yeah.
Steve and I are friends and we'd worked together before, so kind of all those scenes, especially, like, the setup of it, like, the camera... Like, those scenes are, like, there's a camera in your face, there's, like, a lot of people in there, like... There's a dog involved, so it was kind of funny, and that just, like, kind of came out, and when you were like, I was like, I have to feed the dog, and when you said bad dog, I kind of was, like, laughing at the way that you delivered the line, and it was just authentic laughter. Pretty much all the laughter that you see is just authentic laughter, which I think is part of the reason why people are enjoying the chemistry between us, because it's honestly just like two friends having fun.
Yeah, and like I think we found the same jokes in the same way quite quickly, which made a lot of those moments possible. I think both of us read each other and what we were trying to do with each scene, and like what was funny and what was dramatic and where the shift was. I think we complemented each other quite well, which created a lot of, like you're saying, these authentic moments of like us actually just laughing about something in the middle.
Yeah, because I think it's really nice because then it all gets a bit tense.
Right.
Yeah.
Because obviously all the truth starts coming out of, like, Leia finds out what she finds out. Okay, I want to talk first of all about your being very ill scene.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's brilliant. First of all, you have a fantastic scene in the bar where Alec is just like, totally, I've lost the girl. And poor old Jerry is trying to sort you out. And there's a brilliant scene where he's trying to take the drink out of your hand. You're like, I'm having the drink.
Yeah.
Do not take
I paid for it. Yeah.
And then obviously, I think it's quite admirable because often when people are ill in verts, it's like there's a terrible bandage or they just sort of lie. I mean, you look so ill. Like, really, really ill.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, commend you for the commitment to being ill. It's impressive.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, there was a lot of glycerin sweat involved as well, which is like water and glycerin, so it sticks to you, and that's fun. But there was a lot of reapplying the sweat, and I thought of the bubonic plague, and I ran with it.
With the point, actually, you were so convincing. I actually got quite worried when Alec kisses Leia because I'm like, that's not good. He's taking it down.
I thought that as well. I look back at that moment. I'm like, not ideal. Don't kiss me with this death illness you've got.
No. We made a comment. I think Chell or someone made a comment about that while we were filming, and they're like, they're so in love that they don't even care that she's gonna get sick or whatever. It's just they're so in love.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
It's so cute.
Truth is, my marriage is about survival. You shun the other person.
Yeah. I gotta hold the house.
You're taking me down with you. Oh, maybe that actually. Do you know what? That's been since we've had kids. I think. I think that's it. Someone's got to survive for the kids, so you can't both live with them. So okay. It possibly was slightly more romantic when we were younger, right? I also want to ask about. Okay, this is like a weird parallel, but one of my favourite stories of all time is Anne of Green Gables, and part of it is because Gilbert Blythe is stuck in this friend zone with Anne for years and years and years, and she's off with the fairies until she finally realises. And I think there's parallel because obviously Alec has liked her for years, doesn't do anything about it. It's a similar situation because, you know, she's had a boyfriend. And they do get together when she thinks Gilbert's on a deathbed. And again, it's a very well done ill scene. Beautiful, sadly passed Jonathan Crombie. It looks very, very ill when he's Gilbert and Anne. And I kind of feel that there was a parallel here in that that's when Leia really realises how much she cares. I kind of feel she's having fun before. And then that's when she's like, actually, I do care.
Yeah, no, I do agree that because the scene where Xavier pulls me into the commercial and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. She is kind of like, yes, these things have happened with Alec, but also like, okay, as much as I want to like not feed into his big actor vibe and oh, he's a big actor, he's an actor and he's cute and he's asking me to like kiss him, so so yes, she's kind of having fun and not realizing how much she does want to be with Alec. But then when all that stuff happens and when she finds out that he's lying, and then she's kind of with Xavier, she's kind of not with Xavier, and she is kind of almost forced by her own pride and morals to not be with Alec. I do obviously think that when Jerry is like, he's sick, I'm like, oh my god, he's sick? He's sick? That kind of like triggered something in me. And then when I do go and see him in person, I'm like, wow, I can't be without this person. While I also do tell him, I set boundaries and I say I don't like when people lie to me. I set those boundaries while also feeling all those feelings at the same time, because sickness and what is that saying? You don't know what you have until you've lost it. That kind of thing. When I'm seeing him and it does look like he's about to no longer be with us, it does trigger something that has always been inside of me. Leah, her.
And I think that's part of the thing that it's so well written, that Leia does have that line of, yeah, but you lied, you don't do that again. Which needed to be said. And also, I mean, it's a classic of like, it's such a good, heartfelt, desperate, don't leave me. Just, well done. Very big puppy dog eyes. It was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then obviously we should just end there, because it would be a lovely happy ending, but obviously it all goes a bit wrong, because first of all, Alec's mum, I don't know how Alec turns out all right, because that's not a good upbringing. I mean, there's trauma from that upbringing. The mother is...
Yeah.
I wish she'd been slightly better written, to be honest, because...
Agreed.
It just kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
she comes kind of out of nowhere, yeah.
She is definitely a classically, like, vertical written character, like these classic verticals. Like, her character could have been in After Awakening.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Could have been in that sort of banquet hall, that sort of, the like, dramatics of this whore, like, that kind of does... Yeah. It doesn't match up, and it's nothing to do with the performance. It's just the writing of that particular character.
It's literally how it's written, yeah.
She's not given a lot to work with. You know, I wish I could have just had my red pen and just slightly improved the script for her, and it would have been something.
Yeah, no, I agree, and she did a great job. I could tell that she was trying to figure out how to make it work in that scene as well. But there's lots of moments that I really love from her performance. I love when she grabs the flowers and throws them on the ground and like stomps on them.
Yeah,
just insult to injury, really. And you can see my little heart break. I like the sort of the venom that she brings to it. I think is necessary. What we needed, I think, in that moment was a bit of a dagger in the back of this love story that we're experiencing. I think I think that's why in the writing you have a classical mother figure, because that is venomous and it brings that sort of necessary break to this whole operation. And I think she did a good job of channeling that and giving the story what that needed.
And the other thing I think that's really nice is there's never any doubt about who Alec's going to choose.
Right.
Because in a lot of them, the kind of that male character's often just like, oh, I don't know, and I'm stuck between both. And Alec's just like straight away, like, yeah, no, you're going to lose me. I'm going to go with her, which I think is probably partly why people like this one so much.
Yeah.
And then we have, obviously, I mean, I think it's fair to say you're probably aware that this story is loosely based on the famous one with Noah and Ashley in it, because we have the similar... It's all going well, and then the ex-girlfriend turns up with a child going, Daddy! Which is just a brilliant moment. There's a very good surprise face that you both do. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
How's it with working with, because obviously she's actually, I think wasn't it her first role? I can't remember her name, the little girl who plays that.
Ava. I think it was her first vertical. Yeah. Oh, so sweet. She was so cute. So cute. Her mother was also lovely. Wasn't like, she stepped back and let Ava do her thing, but also she was there and made sure that Ava was safe and comfortable, and everyone made sure that she was safe and comfortable. And I think she really enjoyed herself, honestly.
Yeah. She was so bubbly, and she was really quick. I remember being really smart. That's my memories of Ava. She's very fast. Which helps a lot on set, because you give her an idea or you give her something from behind the camera where there's just a wash of light and confusion, and she was very quick to pick it up and use it, and I think that made it work. It made it possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's this brilliant line that obviously that her mum's kind of drilled into her of like, are you going to abandon mummy and me? And it just puts Alec in this
Yeah,
worse position. And I think
yeah,
it's so well done of because actually everyone's got a point. Because if that was real, we know it's not. Like he
mm,
can't abandon her, but then Leia's quite right to be really upset. And
Yeah.
it's this actually brilliant real world thing of there is no perfect solution.
Yeah.
Everyone's in an awkward
yeah.
position, and I think you'll do that really well. Did you enjoy sort of getting to play that?
Which one? Who, me?
Both of you? Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
because you
oh.
get righteous indignation, and then, Teague, you get to go, I don't know what to do here. I can't make
I
everyone
think it
happy.
it
Yeah,
definitely.
personally, I love that moment. It's one of those moments that I think would work really well on a stage, and like it's something that I love that sort of moment in drama school as well. The moment of, I guess it's you take the stakes of that office moment of being called out, the embarrassment, you heighten it. It's the oh my God, I don't have the rubric here to work from. I don't have the blueprint in front of me. Or what do I do? And I think in that moment you see a lot about people, and that was my choice there in that moment was to sort of comfort the child, and be kind. If you watch Alec, he's very gentle with children, and the dog, for instance. I wanted that because I wanted Alec to feel fatherly. I wanted there to be, he's still young and he's still a boss, and you kind of have to stretch a little bit. But I wanted you to see that there's the blueprint for an actually a good dad. I think that would
Yeah.
make it make sense why Leah comes around and sort of starts to see that herself.
Yes, I think for me as well. Um, they didn't show the moment because I don't know if the camera angle was right, but there was a moment that we did have where when he kind of bends down is about to show her the candy or get something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where he stands up and he looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, I can't tell you not to choose this girl who's apparently your child.
Yeah,
I can't tell you to not do that, but I also I feel abandoned by you in this moment.
yeah,
But like it's it was it. I think that was a nice arc as well, and then it brought up again in the scene in the restaurant where Alec is like, let's run away, or something that he says, and I'm like,
mm,
you can't ignore your responsibilities to your
yeah,
child that you have. And I think that was really hard for Leah to come to terms with, to realize that he has a child that he now needs to get to know and be present in her life. But also I'm carrying, did I know at that point that it was your children? I did, right?
Yeah, yeah,
well, she says it
yeah, you
when
did.
we're in the banquet hall. Yeah,
Yes, yes. And I'm like, he's also carrying my child, and then I come to the realization, this child is always going to be in my life. This woman is always going
mm,
to be in my life. And I kind of just surrender then to being with Xavier, because
right.
I can't deal with this kind of tug of war that Alec is going to be playing his our
Yeah,
entire lives.
yeah.
And then
I love that you brought
oh
that up
God, at the
actually,
end.
Talia.
What?
The moment that you're talking about at the stairs, I love that you brought that up because I think that was
Oh,
again, it's a moment that I wish was in it because you then see Alec, his mum's like, show us where the sweets are, and he goes, yes,
yeah,
mother, and walks away, and again it just devastates Leah, and that
yeah,
choice to be like, I can't make you make a choice, but I need to see what choice you make, and then
yeah,
that's his initial move. It just again, it's the necessary break that we needed. Um,
yeah,
so I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah,
And there's a great scene. They make brilliant use of that staircase and wherever that was filmed. Because there's
yes,
this amazing shot where Leah's on the stairs and about to go, and Alec's sort of down, and you kind of looking down, and is desperately trying to get her to stay, and she's like, no. So just
yeah,
that
it was
staircase
beautifully
was an
shot.
extra like member of the
Yeah,
cast. It was brilliant.
yeah, it was beautifully
yeah.
shot.
And then obviously, I kind of think like if I can't remember the character's name, but if she'd left it there, she could have, you'd gone. But no, we decided
Mm,
to take it further with like, let's pay someone to mug you on the street, which is horrific.
yeah.
But in a positive thing for Vert World, there's actually a passerby who helps you. So actually, I was quite happy about that.
It's great. And little Easter egg again, the denim jacket he's wearing came out of my bag that day. They needed a jacket, so there you go.
That's
It's famous
Excellent.
now, I guess. Yeah,
But that
crazy
was quite
crazy scene.
happy.
That was a crazy scene.
Yeah, because
It's, I
normally
think,
the
yeah,
passers-by do nothing, and it's like, well, actually, this one
I know.
actually is sensible, and like rings
yeah,
the hospital. So I was happy for that. And
No,
obviously, what it means is that we can cut quickly to the hospital, and
right.
I like that it's tied up quite fast actually, because they give Alec the hospital report, and he's like, I mean, it's always the blood type. That's always how we know, isn't it? He's like, hang
yeah,
on, and I like
yeah,
that that's not dragged out, and it's quite quick, and then it just cuts to some worrying-looking food that you're giving Leia in the
Right.
hospital.
And then I
yeah.
do enjoy that I have the discovery line of, so Beatrice's ex, blah, 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 blah. I honestly quite enjoyed that there wasn't like, so this is what happened. I
Yeah,
like that it
yeah,
was kind of after the fact and kind of wrapped up already, that I already knew, and here we are in this new, we're starting fresh, and here's this, the new beginning kind of. And also,
yeah.
like, thank God, I'm relieved.
But yeah, I think it's really nice that I'm seeing more in vertical scripts, that we're kind of losing that exposition now, and there's more trust of like, we don't need to spend ages on this. We can move on
Yeah.
and then give you the
It's
scenes to
small
cover.
changes that make a big difference. Are we talking about the scene where I'm cutting an apple and you're in the hospital bed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a good example of what you're talking about, Jen, is like that could have easily been written as I'm sorry. Like there's a line where I say, I'm sorry, seeing as I just been swindled, can you forgive me? Which I think is colloquial. It makes sense. It's grounded. It works. It's so easily sometimes in these scripts written as like, I'm sorry that my ex came back and her daughter was not actually my daughter, and now I've just found out and I've been swindled. You know,
Yeah.
it's so nice to see that they're refining the approach to dialogue
Yeah.
quite rapidly. And again, like we said at the top of this, is what drew certainly me, and I'm sure Talia as well, to this specific script title.
Yeah.
Be what it is.
And then I feel we're slightly robbed at the end, because I feel there should have been another scene or an episode of just them being happy together, because we just go straight
Right.
to the. I mean, it goes very vertical again, doesn't it? Because of course they're not having one baby. Of course they're having.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got away with it because there's a run of stuff at the moment where people are having sextuplets. So the fact that you're only having triplets is pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to know about the balloons. Did they pop first time?
We
We
only
only
did,
had one time.
yeah, we
Yeah.
only had to take them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that works really well. And then I want to move on to the costumes, if that's okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because Talia, obviously you've played villains and you get certain roles. I really love what they dress you in this.
I
Some
I
stunning,
absolutely
like
loved it.
beautiful jumpers. It's just a bit different. There's really soft pastels.
Isabel, she's the costume designer, and then Callie as well.
Yeah. Isabel and Callie. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no. The colors, of course they ask you, sometimes they don't, but sometimes they ask you, what colors do you like yourself in? I don't think she asked. I think actually the next one I was asked, and I was like, these colors that they used in this one
Yeah.
look good on
Good
me.
call.
But
Yeah.
we actually had a fitting. She actually came to my apartment and brought a bunch of her stuff, and then she asked me if I had some stuff, and we kind of collaborated in that way. But everything I tried on that she had, I was like, this looks so good. This looks so good. I'm so excited to wear this, because sometimes, I hate to say that, sometimes it could have an impact on your performance if you don't feel good about yourself and what you're wearing. If you don't feel confident,
Absolutely.
you're on these tight, very zoomed in and very almost kind of pixelated, very just good quality cameras. You could see every inch of your body and of just everything. And if you don't feel good about yourself and you don't feel confident in a color or a shape or anything, sometimes it does for me reflect in my performance, as much as I try to not let it. But every single thing that she gave me, I loved it. I felt great in it. And I was like, wow, I'm wearing a pantsuit. I've never worn a pantsuit. I loved the blue on blue. Yeah. Isabel did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
And Teig, I think Alec actually gets quite a nice range of clothes, and they managed to find things to dress him in that aren't just the standard what's it called, the shirt and tie thing. And actually there's interesting bits.
Right.
I don't know if you're aware if it was part of the thing, but there's quite a lot at the beginning where you fiddle with your tie a lot, and you look quite like you can't breathe. And then it's like once Alec gets together with Leia, the costumes get gentler, and we don't see you in the tie as much. Was that a conscious decision?
Brilliant work. I mean, not on my part for sure. I mean, the tie was probably choking me for real. But again, brilliant planning on Isabel and Callie's part. Really, really good costume team. I also remember from that set specifically about the suits and things is the level of suit that they rented for or acquired. I'm not quite sure what their plan was, but the suits that they brought in were a whole grade above what we usually work with. And that, for me personally, just in terms of comfort, and like Talia's saying, like my comfort on set leading to availability or accessibility as an actor, I just felt very comfortable in what they were putting me in. That the blue pinstripe suit for me was, I love it. I love it. And I asked them how much it was when they were trying to take it back, and it was too expensive for me to take off them. But alas, we move on. I also want to shout out to Raina and Charlie, who were hair and makeup. Those two are incredible. And the chairs that they created for us on set, the makeup chair is like sacred. That's a throne. And they had their work cut out for them with my hair. And my eyebrows was a huge part. Yeah. This was a huge part of the Yeah, I know, right? It was a huge part of the negotiations with the platform. It was something that Reelshort were really sticking on, and we made it work. And more specifically, they made it work. That was a lot of lather. That was a lot of I don't even know what the term is, but some lacquer that they put through my hair and replenished all throughout the day, and were constantly on top of, and putting clips in to pin it down. My hair is thick in Portuguese and very uncooperative, and they, honestly, props to them for dealing with that and making it businessy. But in general, they also contributed brilliantly to our levels of self-confidence, our comfort on set. That space that they held for us was beautiful, and I just want to again take a moment to thank them.
I wanted to jump in because I was gonna say that as well. I think every single day I had a minimum of 5 full-on wardrobe and hair changes every single day. One day I counted, I had 8. I had 8 full wardrobe, and because of the meticulous and incredible planning on their part, and just to create a storyline and a real person. My makeup and hair doesn't look the same every single day. Each look had a different makeup look and a different hair look that was associated with it. And they were changing me multiple times. Like I said, one day I counted 8 times in one day, and they are constantly fighting off the clock and people telling them, hurry up, we need to get to the next scene, yada, yada, yada. And we did not do overtime. We did not do overtime on this set. They really were absolutely fantastic. They were constantly watching the monitors, making sure that everything looked perfect. I loved the way that my makeup looked, so much so that I had Raina give me my entire routine that she did on me, and I bought the makeup. And what I will also say is I do have quite a bit of tattoos on my right arm. And it's somewhat of an insecurity of mine sometimes when I get onto sets, because I did get them when I wasn't really acting and I wasn't really thinking about, what that would look like as an actor. And of course, humans and people in New York City and in America, they have tattoos. It's an expression of creativity and personality. And if a production company ever told me they didn't want to work with me because I had tattoos, I would obviously not like that and not want to work with them. That has not happened. But it sometimes becomes an insecurity of mine, because I do feel bad that it's an extra step that makeup and hair and also costumes might have to take. And I don't want anyone to have to sacrifice their visions to do this. But they did. Did you even know that I had tattoos? No. Probably not. I forgot. Yeah. I watched it. Yeah. Forgot I had tattoos. Looked down at my arm and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
that takes an insane amount of talent to be able to do that, so it translates like that on screen is so hard to do.
I want to take them with me on every single set. I think Charlie was really knowledgeable, and so was Raina, of course, but Charlie was extremely knowledgeable in like SFX makeup, and she did this splatter technique with like alcohol-based makeup, and then she airbrushed, and then she put back on my freckles and my like birthmarks. Oh my gosh, it's
an art form. I mean, it's fully legitimized as an art form. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think there's a necessary point to be made that you kind of hovered on there for a second, Talia, about the clock. It's worth understanding for people who don't work on sets or don't know how a set runs, is everything is pretty much timed. And the more strict the set is, or the more locked down and on the ball, if you will, the set is, the more strict the PAs are trying to get you from one spot to the next. So each of these departments has a lot of time to do their art form, and then come the very end of all of them, we're on set, boom, camera in our face, couple of takes, let's see what we got, right? The ability to get a refined job done in the amount of time that they had with the pressure that they had on top of them, unbelievably talented. So Raina and Charlie, if you're watching this, I love you. Thank you so much. Isabel Callie as well. Thank you. I love you so much.
We gave them gift cards at the end. We were like, we need to do something.
Yeah.
We're like, we got it. We got to do something for them.
I have to ask, because I spoke to Paige Schmelzer earlier this week, and she was saying about her arm and the tattoos, but that she found that there's kind of the makeup with it. She has to say to people, like, watch the makeup. Was that a situation with yours where it was like, I'm going to make this orange?
I will say the one scene that you enjoyed for comedic reasons when we were on the bed. It was a white bed. It turned orange. I was like, oh my god, my arm has come off. For most of the time though, because the makeup was so good and because it was just so what am I trying to say? It was done so well with the correct formula of makeup. It didn't come off that much. I don't think Teig got it on him whenever we kind of like touched. Now it was just so good that it only came off really when my arm was like rubbing on the white sheets.
Yeah.
And Teig, can I ask, because obviously you've got tattoos as well, has it ever been raised with you that, you know?
No, honestly, it's a gendered experience on sets with verticals. The women that I work with, a lot of them do have tattoos and are always asked to cover up, and I have not been a single time. I think it's something to do with the perception of women and femininity that I think is obviously rapidly changing here, and will keep doing so as we represent its sort of diverse and awesome capabilities, like what femininity can be. But I think it's definitely a gendered experience that we're figuring out how to navigate in the vertical space. And I expect it will, like a lot of other things in the space, keep developing, keep growing. We'll see some tattooed girlies on screen soon, hopefully.
Well, I will say, Jen, I don't know if you've watched Too Late to Say I Love You on Stardust TV.
Sorry.
With shout out Armand. He says hi, by the way. He wanted me to say hi to you. I had my tattoos out in that one. I had my tattoos out in that.
Awesome.
I asked them, I was like, can I have them out? And maybe it was a platform thing. I don't know, but it was not an issue at all. And I was a villain, so obviously I think the villains have a little bit more of like a pass, especially if it's like a New York society or like a New York based or where socialite type thing or edgy people, that kind of thing.
Right.
But that's one, and I always think about it. I'm like, I had them out in that one, and that was kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's all, of course, got to be to do. Sorry, go on, Jen.
Sorry, I was going to say, in After Awakening, don't you have a nose ring?
I do have a nose ring.
And
I do
love
have
that.
Yeah, I took it out though. I don't know which project I took it out on, but it's closed now and I can't put a nose ring back in, which is kind of sad because I had it since I was 16 and I loved having it. But I took it out and now there's kind of like a little bit of a hole there. But I do know that there's one actress who does a lot on Reelshort and she has a nose ring and I mean, it looks great on her.
And actually,
it's a character thing, surely, right? So like it depends on what the character requires, and I think that's a respectful place to be in. That depending on what character, it's an option if we need it. And then it's
exactly. And I also see like if I'm playing like a high schooler, or if I'm playing a student in college, I don't see why I couldn't have my tattoos out. Honestly.
Yeah.
More tattoos. Randomly, I did a post yesterday about how there's certain actors and actresses in vertical space that I didn't realise were separate people, which thankfully JT and Felix were fine about. But then I had someone message me and she said that actually the tattoos are really helpful because she didn't realise that this actor was the same person. It was Noah Fernley until he kept taking his top off because he's got a really big tattoo down his side that says family. Right. It's like, that's got to be the same person. So you see, tattoos are actually really helpful so that we know who
Or it's a member of his family who has the same tattoo.
Yeah, possibly.
Cousin, twin.
Okay. I've taken up loads of your time, so I'm just going to try and finish quickly. Do you think Alec and Leia live happily ever after?
I do.
Yeah, I think they do. I think the three kids keep them tied happily together for a while, and I think everything smooths out.
I think they open up their own firm together, their own marketing firm together, and Alec is the business behind it, and I'm the face running the show, and then our kids grow up to work in the market. No, I don't know.
To work in the marketing firm. They take over the marketing firm.
They take over the
we come from a legacy family in the marketing space.
Yes, no, I think they're also very loved. They have 2 fun uncles, Xavier and Jerry.
Yeah, and just don't trust Jerry with your sperm.
Exactly.
And worryingly, someone says at that gender reveal party about, there's going to be babies to split the inheritance between. They're already setting up the sequel. And I'm like, no, I think Alec and Leia are too sensible to do one of those mad wills of like whoever gets married first gets the inheritance.
Talk about sequel. I mean, would you pick, Talia, would you do a whole nother film with a pregnant belly, or do we shoot it with 3 babies around?
Honestly, 3 babies sounds
yeah, that's
great.
Your preference. Yeah.
I never won a pregnancy belly like that. I was quite triggered the first time I put it on. I was like, whoa.
It was an amazing belly. It had a belly button as well, which was really cool.
It was really creepy, honestly.
Yeah, they actually put you in some quite tight-fitting dresses in that.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, for some of the scenes, it made me feel real good about myself because I was like, I don't need to worry about sucking in as most girls have to. Like, not most girls, not saying that, but like most women struggle with, being in tight dresses. It's very vulnerable, and with the camera, you can't hide. So personally, for me, I'm always worried, like, I gotta suck in, which is a standard that's set by society. We don't need to get into that. But I felt great. I was like, I can just relax and breathe and.
And then just going forward, can you both share like next projects you've got coming up? Because people are going to love you both after this and want to see more. So where can they see you next? What are you doing?
Oh, I'll go. Okay. I have a good old villain project coming out, I think on Drama Wave. Armand is in it. Christine K. Larson is in it. Jack Byram is in it. I believe you interviewed him in Mars. Yep, he's in it. Directed by Jackie. The director that directed After Awakening and Come Back For You. So that's coming out soon. Honestly, not sure when. It's already like on my IMDb page for some reason. So hopefully it means it's coming out soon. I do have another lead with Reelshort coming out. Not sure when. Honestly, I just finished filming that the end of March, so not sure when that's coming out. And then I'm about to start another lead project in the beginning of May. So yeah, hopefully this launches some more nice girls for me.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Teig.
Thank you.
Well, like Talia said, it's kind of hard to keep track of what's coming out when. We don't get a huge amount of information after the shoot wraps. I think the next one for me that's coming out, I believe, is my wife's $1 billion secret. So I'll leave that some mystery because it's a secret. And then there's one that I shot with Paige recently called My Sister Is Not Someone to Mess With, which is it's going to be very After Awakening inspired. That's where I'll leave it. But that was what I was briefed on when I auditioned for the role, and that's what I will give you guys.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. It's really appreciated.
Thank you.
So
I
welcome.
keep checking my phone. I wanted it to go over 9 million while we were on recording this. It hasn't quite yet, but I'm
We're
sure
so
it will.
close.
Keep pressing it. So thank you so much.
Just keep streaming it, Jen, okay? Just keep the phone running.
Yeah, exactly.
Jen, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you a million.